There's a lot.
I read a report recently there are over 4,500 different factions of the Christian church. You can't all be right.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Atheist Vanguard. My name is Derek Hawke.
I'm Phoenix.
And Ben Estaville.
Alrighty, with that done, let's jump into our first video.
Welcome to the Atheist Vanguard. My name is Ben, and today we are with...
Hi, I'm Stephen Williams.
And I'm Michelle Williams.
Now, you two fine people, you're out here enjoying this Alamo life. Do you believe, though? Do you have a belief in a God?
Absolutely not.
No?
None whatsoever.
Have you ever?
Yes, I went to 6 years of Catholic school.
You did?
You
did 6 years inside?
I did 6 years inside, and then I tried Protestantism, and then I just went, no.
Yeah, you're done.
I read the Bible cover to cover, and no, thank you.
So what are you doing with your Sundays now?
Anything I wish.
Yeah?
Yes.
Meet on Friday?
Every Friday.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh, no doubt.
Without fail.
And you?
I was raised in a Free Will Baptist environment in the Deep South. And even as a child, I couldn't make sense of what they were trying to teach me. Even at the age of 5 or 6, I was seeing many discrepancies between what one believer would say versus what another believer would say. And so I read the Bible cover to cover on several occasions. And I just simply could not process the discrepancies that are supposed to be in a unified scripture. Absolutely, it's not unified. It's fragmented. There's no possible way that a higher being wishing to reveal himself to man could have ever arranged that collection of writings.
There's better ways to do it, I would think.
I would think so. I mean, if there really were, I think at some point once we landed on the moon, that's about the time one of the comedians that I'm fond of, this is the time God should have stepped out and said, hi, when the creatures you make it from the green one to the gray one, it's time to show up. No, it made absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me either.
No.
Yeah.
We're looking for evidence, we're looking for proof, so we're out here interviewing people, asking them about their experiences. And, there hasn't really been a lot of evidence, hard evidence. There's been a lot of, I had a vision.
There's a lot of anecdotal evidence, there's a lot of circumstantial that is actually just perceptual, but no scientifically verifiable evidence whatsoever to support the idea of a creator.
A lot of claims in an old book.
A lot of claims, but it's all hearsay.
Yeah.
Someone says, well...
very many times removed.
Very many times.
And translated. And retranslated.
Countless translations of translations of translations, and many American Christians don't realize that the first English translation from the Latin Vulgate, of course, was Tyndale, and they burned him for that.
Yikes.
So,
watch out, kids. Watch out. Yeah, it's not all safety. You're not all safe at all times through our history. If you have a differing belief, if you have to be contrarian and you're going your own way, sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. And especially when the power structure has the cards stacked against you. We've seen the Spanish. Well, we haven't seen it. The Spanish Inquisition.
Exactly.
That was a bad time.
Yeah, no one expected it.
No one expected it. It came out of nowhere.
And then you had the Reformation, and there's the Protestants were pulling the same thing.
Yeah.
So
fractions upon fractions upon fractions.
Exactly.
Leading to factions and denominations in the thousands now.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
I read a report recently there are over 4,500 different factions of the Christian church. You can't all be right.
You can't all be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun talking to those people who tell me, well, I have the truth, but my neighbor over there, he doesn't have the truth. He's got it all wrong.
One of my favorites is, God sent me to tell you something.
Oh, really?
No, if God wanted to tell me something, I'm pretty sure he could have done it himself.
I asked for that.
Yeah.
I do, and I said, I haven't been visited yet. I haven't had a special message. I haven't had a postcard, telegram, cell phone.
Post-it note.
Nothing.
Yeah.
He shows up and introduces himself, then I'm certainly willing to change my mind with respect to that.
Sure.
Because then there would be hard, verifiable evidence, as long as that vision is apparent to those around me as well.
Right. I did get an email once from a Nigerian prince, and he needed a little help.
All right.
But that's as close as I got.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much for talking to me today.
Thank you,
It's been a
Ben.
pleasure.
Nice to
Great seeing you.
Nice to meet you.
Well. We can't all be right, but I can be right about one thing. That was an awesome interviewer.
Yeah, it's nice to hear from an atheist every once in a while for these. We don't actually get that too
Yeah,
often.
I like that.
We'll get them come up, talk to us, but not in an interview.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had that on the show, and it is cool.
Yeah. So, Ben, give us some insight onto not always right.
Not always right. I mean, I've said it before. There are people that we talk to that say they have the one true way. They know what's going on. They have all the facts. Maybe even God visited them. The angel's voice they heard, and they just know what's going on, and that's how they know they're right.
Oh, yeah.
But other people have had that too, so it's really hard to know.
And in different God's names as well.
Of course.
And then, of
beliefs.
course, that one of their favorite arguments there was that God sent me to tell you this thing fits right in with that. It's like, how many times have you guys heard that talking to somebody? It's like, happens all the time. God sent me to tell you this, and that's my proof. God told me.
Well, if you listen, I don't know if you talk to religious people, if you have them in your family. I do, and the common phrase that they say a lot is, "God spoke to me." I was praying on this, and God spoke to me, and He said this, or you hear him preaching about that. I was in the shower one day, and God spoke to me, and He said, "Go to finger licking good chicken here," and whatever. And
Yeah.
I've always wanted, and even as a child, because these guys said they were past Catholic, so the woman did, and I know you guys are past Catholic.
Yeah, I did 3 years inside, man.
Yeah. I wasn't necessarily Catholic, but I did get the business end of a ruler from a nun, so I can count myself as Catholic. I
I'm
served my
guilty.
licks.
I am guilty of that as well.
But I've always wondered, why didn't somebody just stop and say, "Oh, wait, stop! God spoke to you? Really?"
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that would be something profound. God spoke, really?
Yeah, we don't really question it.
Really?
And-
What
and
did He sound like?
I say, God hasn't spoken to me. So
Yeah.
when that happens, then maybe we can, get a three-way conversation
I
going on
know.
or something.
What does He sound like? I mean, does He talk like this, or does it echo, or does it boom, or is it? I kind of think He is kind of feminine.
He could have a voice like a little mouse.
I know.
I don't know. It's God works in mysterious ways, I have been told.
You're
So.
like, "Hey, Ben."
Hey, buddy, you should do the things like that and this and whatnot. And don't do the fried chicken stuff, though, because God's a vegetarian.
Wouldn't it be funny if
Or not.
God sounded like Michael Jackson?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I was just about to do that.
I am the Lord thy God.
Oh, no.
I haven't heard that description yet, but it is possible.
Or maybe Prince. Ow!
It is possible.
So, yeah, they.
I am your Lord thy God. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
and speaking of God appearing to us, I mean, the whole crack about the moon landing being the time it should have happened.
There's a lot of times it could have happened, should have happened.
Oh, yeah.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah, there's all the time, but yeah, that is a big one.
Yeah.
So, as atheists, the first topic that he brought up that really caught my eye was talking about the discrepancies that are found in the Bible that led to his kind of questioning his faith.
If you read it, it could make you an atheist. And I challenge people to read that Bible.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And both of them read that, or read it multiple times, cover to cover. So,
Now, when we're preparing for the show, me and Ben tend to break open our Bible and get some knowledge thrust upon us. And what and it's weird. Like when I was a believer as a child, these things, I don't know what it was. Maybe there's some natural reflex that made me skip over these things, because as I read it as a non-believer, these things jump up, and first of all, it's poorly written. Second of all, it makes no sense. And third of all, it's so vague that I can make it apply to anything.
Like a Barnum statement.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, of course, they burned the Tyndale Bible they brought up. Mm-hmm. They burned Tyndale for writing it.
Yep.
And yet, 90% of it, of that version of the Bible, made it into the King James version of the Bible. They still used almost the entire Bible that they burned the original author for.
Sounds pretty kooky to me.
Yep.
And it's like, what the heck?
Well, then we go. So we go into from discrepancies. We can list them all, like the virgin birth, the upbringing of Jesus, where he was born.
Quick point on the virgin birth. I just thought about this. When a man has a daughter, and if that daughter is raped, the rapist shall pay the father how many shekels?
Like 50?
Yeah, I think it's like 50 shekels, and there's a marriage that happens, right? Because that's property damage. Now, was Mary's father ever paid? I don't think so. Was Joseph ever given any kind of compensation? Because Joseph had an expectation his seed would be carried in his wife and his genes would go forth. But he kind of got cock-blocked.
Joseph got the bad end of this deal. I mean, he gets no respect. He gets, he's not even the baby daddy.
No, and it's known.
Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it.
And the only part that's actually mentioned about how Joseph feels about the whole thing is right there in Matthew, and it's okay. She's not damaged goods because it's actually God's baby. That's the message he's getting, and it just cuts off. It doesn't actually say anything about his actual reaction to it. It just stops there. Yeah.
He got punked. He got punked.
I feel bad.
He doesn't even get a religion after him. At least Mary got that.
Yeah. Cult. But whatever.
I'm going to start the cult of Joseph.
Please continue.
For baby daddies.
Joseph,
baby daddy cult.
Saint of baby daddies.
1-800-babydaddyme.com.
Oh, jeez.
Look for that coming soon.
Coming soon. Next season on Atheist Vanguard. So we talk about the discrepancies. We unfortunately start with the virgin birth, but then we go into different versions of where Jesus was raised, where he was born, manger this, Bethlehem that, Nazareth that. Then we go into resurrection here, resurrection there, how many people, how many weren't there, how many were there, how many angels, blah, 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 blah. Then it goes into, and he brought up a good point, which a natural translation into translations. And I think we kind of briefly talked about the translations and getting burnt for not writing them the right way, I guess.
The insane number of denominations that have resulted.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just keeps growing, And it's, I don't know, I didn't check what the current facts and figures are, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Now, do either of you have a favorite type of Bible or Bible version?
I don't.
Not really.
I was raised I went to Catholic school for 3 years, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all crazy.
Now, as an author who does rely on the Bible for source material quite a bit, I prefer the King James version.
It is a favorite.
I don't like that one. I don't like the these and thous.
Well, that's why I like it. It gives substance to the writing.
Does it give substance, or it just gives the illusion of it being ancient?
Correct. Yeah. It is all illusions, but the language. I do like the language. I do like the poetic nature of it. But I like it for what it is, a piece of literature, a literature that I can use to inspire other stories. Blasphemy, but
I haven't done.
Yeah, never mind my favorite phrase out of that version. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live was originally suffering a poisoner to live, not witch.
A poisoner of the soul, perhaps.
And
a poisoner of the word?
You could view it either way. Who knows what the original context actually was at this point.
But I guess witches were not held in high regard, so.
But, yeah, with past, I went through a lot of abuse because of that particular verse.
So in our modern times, you can't just kill someone because they proclaim they're a witch, okay?
Or you proclaim they're a witch.
Or you, proclaim they and other people are witches. I mean, we're not going down that road. We've actually done it and seen that it was a really bad time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can't really live biblically anymore, and it's good that we don't. We have due process. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. The problem that we're having today, especially in Texas, and a probably frustrated nation, is that we have such a infestation of our government with the evangelical philosophy that even our public our public is getting confused with what is sin and what is unlawful.
There's another thing, too. There's this cancel culture on the left that says if a woman claims something, she is to be believed.
True, yeah.
And that runs counter to being innocent until proven guilty.
Right. But that's probably a response to this overtly right stance of
I think
all
you might be right
the
about
women are evil, and they respond.
I think you might be right about that.
Yeah, when we go back to witches, I mean that was basically a war against women's rights.
Definitely, 100%. They didn't. As well, I'm no witch scholar, but I would imagine the percentage of guys that got burned at the stake versus women is, there's a vast ratio of, I don't know how many, but I would assume it'd be mostly women.
Now, is a witch still a term mostly given to females, or are they still using more like warlock and?
No. And the misunderstanding with warlock is nothing to do with what gender you are. It's actually an older term that means oath breaker. You have broken your oath.
Okay.
And now you are to be shunned.
Okay.
By the community.
So even in the witch community, a warlock is still somebody that's not desirable.
It depends on which version of the witch community. If you're going with the traditional ones that actually have done their homework, sure. Others have not actually done the same kind of research. And I got my definition of it from a Druidic couple that run their own.
So are there modern day warlocks today?
Oath breakers?
Oathbreakers?
Are they modern day guys that?
It all depends on how each individual group in the metaphysical communities like to use their own terms. Just like when you're talking with different Christians, you have to verify what the terms mean because for every single group, every single individual, you're going to come across a different definition.
So give us one term that would describe a gentleman who studies the magical arts of witchcraft.
A male witch, like a Mitch?
Wizard, witch, mage, spellcaster,
necromancer.
I was a energy worker. There's any number of different terms that applies for that.
An energy worker.
Yes.
Like PG&E.
Another term for the exact same thing would be light worker.
Not a heavy worker.
Light worker.
The spiritual light, spiritual energy, and manipulating it.
All righty. Is there anything else that we missed to cover or need to cover or want to cover?
The only thing that I want to cover is we're looking for evidence. Now, I'm going out there, I'm conducting interviews, I'm talking to people, and it usually comes back to what kind of evidence we have.
Yep. And you do it very well.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That's just the key. I mean, there are a ton of claims, but evidence is the only thing that will convince me, and it seems like the people we're talking to do want to convince me. Mm-hmm. So I thought of evidence, and some people say, well, you're just too skeptical. You want too much evidence. I want evidence that's good enough to cure disease. Okay? Mm-hmm. If you can bring me evidence that's good enough to cure disease, if you can bring me evidence that's good enough that we could pilot and navigate in our solar system, if you bring me evidence that's so good we can use it to put a man on the moon, I'm talking about science. Mm-hmm. This is how we get this kind of level of evidence that can produce something. If you're going to tell me some Bible stories that, well, if you just believe enough, you can cure disease. Okay, well, let's put that to the test. But if you believe enough, you can't really get to the moon. I mean, that's a whole different standard. Mm-hmm. So it's just evidence, man.
Okay.
It's a weird book, and a lot of times when people are in crisis, they turn to it.
So are you saying that you would require evidence that would basically be applicable across the board, or,
yes,
or not? Or what about evidence that pertains to just you? Because a lot of the religions talk about this personal relationship with God, and that the belief is just really between you and God.
It's a relationship for some people.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's all anecdotal. That can only apply to the individual.
I would expect if a God wrote a book, it would have such awesome things that we could use it to wipe out disease.
No. Honestly, if God wrote a book, I would expect anybody to be able to read it no matter what language they spoke. They'd be able to understand every single word in it. And if many copies were made, it would automatically be copied correctly, and that copy would hold those same
I don't think it would be a physical script. I think it would be something that would be imprinted in our almost genetic material, almost like genetic memory.
I hear you.
And that was just science fiction, but...
And it
I'm
couldn't,
saying if he wrote a book.
And it couldn't be misinterpreted. It couldn't be used by someone who's shady, trying to start some wacky cult to use it to bamboozle and fool everybody.
Yep.
It would just be like, well, it's obvious. You read it; it's plain to see. There's it's just for the simplicity of it.
Yep.
This book was written for people who were back in the day, thousands of years. They weren't super sophisticated.
Yep.
So it should be able to be plainly read and understood. And I don't think you need a degree in theology or philosophy to interpret the real meaning behind this stuff.
Yeah, one of my favorite days of the week is Tuesdays, and that's the day that me and Ben usually sit in the back office and read the comments on the
Yes.
previously released Atheist Vanguard.
If you're wondering who that guy is, Really Bible, that's commenting to you and telling you how you're wrong sometimes, yeah, that's me.
Yep, real Bible. One of the favorite things is reading the comments. And one of the things that we see a lot come up is you just don't understand the Bible.
That's right.
If you understood it, you would see God. God would speak to you, but you've hardened your heart against God.
Or you don't believe and you're not worthy.
You're not
to
worthy.
hear
Yep.
the word.
Yeah, or you reject it.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is you just don't understand. You misinterpret it. You know, when I see God says, he killed this person because of this and where they are, and he said killed everybody.
Yeah.
You don't, it's like, well, there's context. What freaking context is there that, first of all, makes sense? Second of all, matters.
Yeah. Or slavery, or the oppression of women, or
Right.
the eating of children, the cannibalism.
We take Phoenix's example. Thou shalt not suffer a witch
To live.
to live. How am I taking that out of context?
Yeah, you've got a duty now. You've got a divine commandment to stamp out all the witches, and they will, they shall not live.
And what is that? That is a religious, that is a proclamation of a religious war.
And it will go on until there are no more witches, or there are no more Christians to carry out the divine order.
And for me, because they were how I was treated thanks to that verse and the mindset inspired by that verse, they can't legally kill me. So they instead went out of their way to daily ridicule me and psychologically torture me so that I would commit suicide. That was what their goal became.
Do you think that's similar to the repercussions of the killing of gay people in Leviticus?
It would be a similar.
You think so?
A similar issue. It's just that you're labeled as bad, something that should not be tolerated in any way. And
An abomination.
So they bash you and bash you and bash you until you no longer have the will to go on. You don't want to put up with it anymore, and you look for any escape you can.
Yep. It's religious abuse at its
That's
its
why
finest.
we do this show. That's why we bring these stories to you, so you can know about it. So this is not fair. This is not equal. This is not just. This is not honorable for people to be attacking each other based on their beliefs. That's why I'm not trying to go out of my way to attack people. I do want to deal with their beliefs. I think that's where we should start. And giving some respect to people, even though they have different beliefs than me, and I think some of them are pretty weird. But we need to start get on some common ground, have a dialogue with these people. So, that's a good place. I think that's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
I think I've beat all this stuff to death.
Oh yeah, I mean,
about you?
a lot further than I was expecting to go with this
Alrighty.
one.
So how y'all doing? Do you have any problems or issues going on? Because there's a book that I hear that the Christians use to answer these questions. I mean, they can be just flipping through this and have this problem going on, and one day just open it and God spoke to them.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that. They just pop it open to a random page and it speaks to them.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we're gonna do a little.
We're gonna try that?
We're gonna try that. Yeah.
Well,
So-
I'd say my problem is male pattern baldness. How about that?
where.
It's a pattern. It's not at the end of the pattern. It's at the pre-stages. Take my word for it.
Okay, you two have the longest hair I know.
It's
there-
how long is it? Is it wow, dude. It's getting there.
Yeah, beautiful manes of hair.
I don't know how long it's going to get because I'm one of the laziest persons, and it's some people say you shouldn't cut your hair because that's going against the will of the Lord because your hair just grows. It's natural, right? I've heard that. There are Sikhs in in other countries, other beliefs who have that you're thwarting the will of God.
Can I ask you a quick question, personal question?
Sure.
Is rock and roll more fulfilling to you with long hair when you bang your head?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, especially when you're on stage
Oh yeah.
as a performer. It's a performance. Yeah.
So you got more enjoyment out of the beginning of Wayne's World when they were banging their head to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Now that Metallica doesn't have long hair, it's really not the same.
I know that was the end of heavy metal. Anyways, Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with a real world one. I got started on some chainmail, and first time I touched it in several years, and I overdid it. I think I might actually tore something in my wrist.
Oh, geez.
You need some healing.
So yeah.
You need a laying on of hands.
Anointment of oil.
And, yeah. Okay.
I can't do the twisting action anymore without it hurting.
Okay.
You've over twisted your action. Okay. That sounds like a bad thing. Derek, anything to add?
I'm speechless. You made me forget what I was going to say. What was it? Oh, geez, I had it on the tip of my tongue.
Your loss of words is
A loss of words.
Is
No,
that an issue for you?
Oh, okay. I think I am possessed with the demon of procrastination.
Wow.
I mean, it is like a living entity that just like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to go watch TV.
Does it slap your hand away when you're trying to get reaching to get something?
Yeah,
done?
like a nun with a ruler.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not going to get into how I used to do exorcism stuff like that. Right
You
now.
guys will talk after the
Oh,
show.
is it? Okay.
This is
I think we have a patron show right there. All righty. So I'm going to open a random page of the book, and I am going to find the solutions to your problems.
We'll see what the book has to say.
Yep. The good book has me opening it up to Mark.
What's the chapter? The Book of Mark?
Book of Mark, chapter, I can't.
Take your time. Take your time.
Chapter 14, verse
He's trying to find
verse
pages
7.
out.
Okay.
Focus.
Mark,
See, I told you I don't like Bibles with pictures.
Okay.
Verse 6, chapter 14 of Mark. Leave her alone, said Jesus. Why are you bothering her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor will always have with you, and you can help them at any time you want, but you don't always have me.
Well, according to what I'm talking about is if it's a pattern, I'm just going to leave it alone, and I'll always have the memories of when I used to have long hair or hair to begin with.
Yep.
It spoke to me.
Said, leave it alone.
I'm going to leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Wow. I don't even know how to apply that one to this.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone, man. Leave
it alone.
Stop cranking it hard.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
You're too hard on it.
You're going to go blind.
You're gonna tear something.
Let's not go there, please.
And I guess that my demon problem is actually a blessing because I'm just leave it alone. I'm
Just
supposed to
leave
be
it alone.
leaving it alone. I'm not supposed to be doing that. Don't do it.
Okay.
That's what Jesus saying. Don't do it.
Jesus said.
Jesus said to me right there, don't do it.
Mark knows.
Leave her
Mark wrote-
alone. Leave her alone.
I don't know the context of that, but I figure if Jesus is telling somebody to leave some lady alone,
Leave her alone.
yeah, you might need to leave her alone.
Get back. Jump back.
Jump back, Jack.
Jump back. Okay, so I think we've had enough of our blasphemy for today.
Yeah, that's enough blasphemy.
Enough blasphemy for today. Well, like they say, a blasphemy a day keeps the indoctrination away. Thank you again for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. I'm with Phoenix and my friend Ben, and have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Later.